This video is a continuation of last week's Everything Wrong with Pikmin 2. This is the second part section, but you're not really missing anything if you see this in the wrong order, but do be aware there is twice the amount of content for this video, and so I will be linking it at the end. Anyway, let's go on to everything else wrong with Pikmin 2. Number 16, Poisonous Whites is counterproductive and unusable. I guess to give more abilities to the white Pikmin beyond just being able to see underground and destroy poison, they also wanted it so that the white Pikmin were better in battle, and to do this they made it so that they were poisonous as well as fast. The only thing is, white Pikmin are invaluable. They are rare because they are only born from candy pop buds underground, and you need them to find many of the treasures. There are some treasures that are just completely unattainable without white Pikmin. So why would you ever sacrifice white Pikmin in a fight? Perhaps it was supposed to be that if you make that mistake, that it's still good and that their death was a worthy in vain kind of thing? But if it was designed to be that you should try and choose between using 3 purples and 8 reds, or just chucking in 5 whites to get rid of the enemy in one go, it's just a bad idea. Why would we ever want to sacrifice Pikmin, and you shouldn't really make a benefit out of them dying. Nobody wants to use it because it's so rare, and it's counterproductive because we want Pik to be able to progress, so don't give us a reward for killing them. As much as it's nice to have, I'm not going to use that by any means, anytime soon. Number 17, Fire is underused on the surface. I would argue that red Pikmin are like the most underused Pikmin in all of the games, but really it seems to be the case with all of them, apart from purple and whites. Yellows seem quite shafted in a lot of cases, but really it feels like that's kind of the case for all of the primary colours. They're only ever there for their elements, and very rarely because of the fighting because of the purple Pikmin, and very rarely because of all the treasure because the white Pikmin can get it faster and can see invisible ones. But in particular, on the surface, there's loads of water, there's loads of things that need to be drained, there's loads of electric gates, or at least there's a good amount of them. The yellows are also available in that they can get certain accessible treasures. Reds don't get this, all they can do is fight and fight fire. They can do some fighting, sure, though they're a little underused for it, but they never really get used for any specific treasure. There's a lot of good fire elements underground, there's plenty of fire geysers or paths that only red Pikmin can go through, but there's not on the surface. The closest we get are fiery Bulblaxes and maybe the occasional geyser if my memory serves right, but very potentially not. But there really should be a bigger ratio of fire elements. We've seen how fire can be used on the surface through Pikmin 1 through just fire geysers or fiery enemies. You could even have things like fiery bridges or fiery gates. It doesn't really matter, but there's such a lack of them in Pikmin 2 that there's no real point in having red Pikmin out if you're gonna explore the surface. It's just a waste of your assets. Number 18, electric gates into water is too finicky. Talking about above ground hazards, having an electric gate next to the water in the perplexing pool is really finicky. Now I get that they wanted you to throw yellow Pikmin over to the other side of the electric gate and then have the blues collect the treasure through it, but there's no way for the captain to get onto the dry side of the electric wall. So in many cases, if you were to leave the yellow Pikmin to deal with the electric gate as you do something else and multitask, as the Pikmin 2 game tries to encourage you to do, you may end up losing a good chunk of your yellow Pikmin because they're standing right by the water when they're done with the electric gate, and will drown due to that fact. On top of that, you can't leave blue Pikmin idle in the water in front of the gate to throw them out of the water because they will just go directly into the electric gate and die themselves. So what you need to do is you need to witness this electric gate being taken down and either whistle the yellow Pikmin immediately to get over the water, or you have to rush through the water, through the Pikmin and through the gate once it's down to then whistle the Pikmin into the dry land, leave them there and keep them on dry ground, and then have another captain or just your captain that's disbanded them to get the blues to take the treasure from there. It's a lot of finicky work for just a small hazard. I get what it was going for, but it could have been done a little bit better, I feel. At the very least, I want to be able to do it while doing something else. I want to multitask in Pikmin 2, and for this particular hazard, I can't. I have to watch it happen. I have to be there at its beck and call. Number 19, Poisonless caves may have underground treasure. This is a pet peeve of mine, but I do find it annoying how you might sometimes need Pikmin even though it doesn't tell you you need the Pikmin. in the Enter Cave menu. When you're about to enter a cave, you get to see all of the elements at the top of the screen, telling you if there's fire, water, electricity. You know how this works. But the game will only tell you if you need whites if there's poison in it. So if there was a cave with no poison, you might think to go in without any white Pikmin because it tells you, hey, there's no poison, you don't need them. You'll then go through the whole cave and realize you're missing treasure, because there are underground treasures that you do in fact need white Pikmin for. So what's really the point of telling us we don't need white Pikmin when in the end, we do? I guess it's supposed to be a strategic thing, but at the very least for a beginner player, that's just frustrating. Thankfully, for most of the cases, the caves have poison if there is also underground treasure, but even still, this is a nitpicky bad game design element. Number 20, the traps are cruel. Part of the difficulty progression in the latter half of the game as you start to explore all of the caves with all of your Pikmin involves introducing bomb rocks and just difficult creatures to fight. And many of these traps are just really horrible. A trap is when something is spawned in the sky to surprise the player. At first, it's simply eggs that break into nectar, which is a nice surprise. Sometimes it turns into Mittites that are meant to scatter your Pikmin. Sometimes it goes to creatures. It starts off with dwarf Bulbms, and that's not too bad. One of the traps is a Bulbbear. You know it's going to appear because your treasure gauge will indicate to you where the trap kind of is, because the Bulbbear is going to have the trap, but that is immensely cruel for you to have to deal with. And in a way, it is unfair for the player. There's no way to really prepare for it if you weren't keeping an eye on the treasure gauge. And maybe that is supposed to go in with the game design that you can predict it, but many of the other traps, there is no indication for it. And don't even get me started on the bomb rocks. They could just appear from the sky and you've just got to skedaddle as fast as you can. If you're attacking an enemy or digging up a treasure, you better drop that task and get out of there. Number 21, the traps that are treasure triggered are even worse. We're not done talking about traps yet, because I believe there are 3 types of trap triggers. Those that are created by the player, and by that I mean the captain that you run around as. Those that are activated by Pikmin, as in when either a Pikmin passes through it or when you show up with Pikmin. And the third kind, traps that only trigger when you are carrying treasure through the trap section. This is just diabolical, because then it makes it so that you have to keep on your toes and witness the entire treasure excavation rather than being able to multitask and explore at the same time. These traps are for the most part bomb rocks, or even worse, volatile dweevils. Bomb rocks that chase after your Pikmin. And when this does occur on you, not only do you have to stop the progress in its tracks and run away, but sometimes you have to do the extra effort of getting away from the thing that's chasing you. It slows down and pads out gaming and makes it feel like you're being cheated in a little way, because you might have cleared the entire cave sub-level, but then you still have to deal with this finicky little thing that slows down you actually progressing through the level. It's too cruel, is all I'm trying to say. Number 22, you can't click to stay in this perspective. There is an old camera tutorial that has been found by hackers of the Pikmin 2 game, but was potentially dropped due to the fact that it was mostly identical to Pikmin 1's controls. However, it did introduce one new thing, and that is that if you hold down the R button, you get a kind of third-person low-down perspective on the game, which I personally really like. But what really irks me is that you can't stay in this perspective. You can only be like this if you hold down the R button. If you're running around and throwing Pikmin with the A button, it's kind of hard to stick down the R button. Every other perspective in the game can be held by the camera, but this one cannot. I would love to play a full game in this perspective, but if I ever wanted to do it, I'm gonna just have to stick some sellotape down to my GameCube controller. It doesn't make sense, and I want it more, goddammit. We don't even see it in Pikmin 3 anymore. Congrats on making it halfway through this video, and now that I've got your attention, I'd like to ask for a little bit of help. My channel is going for a wonderfully fun thing called subscriber burn. What it basically means is my videos are no longer reaching my subscribers, and my niche audience of subscribers are Pikmin fans, which means when I make an actual Pikmin video like this one, it's not actually reaching the Pikmin fans that would actually want to watch it. So in order for me to actually survive on YouTube and get to maybe February 2019, I can't really make Pikmin videos anymore, or at least I'm gonna have to slow down, because the people that would watch it can't see it anymore. It's invisible to them, basically. So, I wanted to know, what other videos would you like me to make? I'm gonna need to make more generic content for me to survive on YouTube, and so I would like to know how to do that. This is the easiest way to support me at the moment, but if you would like to support me in other ways, then do consider full-on subscribing, or if you already are, then hit the bell so you actually get official notifications for whenever I upload. You can also follow me on Twitch and send donations, or just enjoy my content streaming over there, or you can pledge to me directly through Patreon. I'm doing my best to survive in this world, but seriously, YouTube is just kicking me down at every opportunity. But let's end on a high note, and by that I mean a marketing one, I guess. Other content you can see of me. Recently I did a stream of all of Deltarune, so do be sure to check out my Twitch page to see the archives of that over there. We've also got last week's videos, being the first half of this video here, as well as a double bill top 10 of some Smash revealed opinions. They're quite controversial, so take it with a giant grain of salt, and please don't insult me for it. But otherwise, if you don't have the attention span to watch all of that, you can always see the short little stream highlights of Deltarune over on my Daz Let's Play channel, which is just as much a hot mess as this one, if not worse. Regardless, thank you for the help, thank you to our current Patreons, and I hope you'll continue watching me, because I honestly am gonna be surprised if I last longer than 2 months now. I'm doing my best. I might have to become a Twitch streamer instead of a YouTuber, because oh my god, YouTube is stabbing me in the back. Anyway, back to the rest of the video. My apologies for the down note. Number 23. The speed boost makes Pikmin diabolically slow. The upgrades are supposed to improve the gameplay, but oddly enough, this one does the complete opposite. Each of the Pikmin have a designated speed. White Pikmin are fast, purples are slow, and the original primary colours are fairly neutral. But there is an upgrade that increases the captain's speed so that they zoom along a lot faster, allowing for, I guess, exploration options, or they ran out of upgrade ideas. But it doesn't have an impact on the Pikmin that follow you, possibly to not get in the way of the leaf, bud, and flower mechanic of the actual Pikmin, but even still, it just doesn't work too well, because now with this extra boost, Olimar and Louie zoom ahead, and only the white flowers can keep up with you. You've still got to wait for all the other buds and all the other leaves, the reds, blues, and yellows, and oh my god, the purples. Come on, just show up, purple leaves, hurry up, god damn it. It just makes you slow down the gameplay, oddly enough, because you're waiting for Pikmin so that they don't get trapped on a corner somewhere, which is a mini thing they shouldn't really be doing. The AI needs to be improved on that front. Thank god they did it in Pikmin 3. I'm not going to count it as its own little note, because that's all I have to say on it. Number 24. Grinding for 100 purples is poor game design. There is one treasure in the Wistful Wild of Pikmin 2 that requires 1,000 Pikmin, or the strength of 1,000 Pikmin. That means you need 100 purples, which sounds cool in a vacuum, but you won't ever logically get 100 purple Pikmin naturally. Purple Pikmin are rare, they're not in every cave, and on top of that, many caves stop spawning purple Pikmin when you've got a certain amount. If you want to get this treasure, you have to cheat for it. You'll have to go through a cave that infinitely spawns purple Pikmin multiple times just to raise the numbers. If this treasure was around a cave or something that had loads of purples, or the game did lead you to have that many purples naturally, then that would be fine. It would be rewarding, it would be satisfying. But having to grind for this giant reward isn't really a reward, it's just a chore and a task to get through. You might enjoy gaining that many purple Pikmin and having them by the end of the game when you've actually got all of them, but it's just poor game design. And though it is fun that they carry the treasure so slowly back to the ship, that's also just not really a fun reward. Maybe it's satisfying, but 10 minutes of walking from point A to point B? Not really my thing. Number 25, speaking of the Wistful Wild, super rare creatures are also poor game design. There is a rare Pikmin in Pikmin 2. It's not as prevalent as the Smoky Prog, called the Ujadani. These very tiny little guys show up on days 31, 61, 91, etc. in two very small corners of the Wistful Wild. If you find them, they'll each spawn a nectar thing. So much so that it actually stops creating nectar because there's so many of them and the game can't handle that much nectar renderings. But why? Maybe it's designed to be a secret thing, but having them be that rare for quite a fairly small reward just doesn't seem right. Especially because by day 31, everyone is done with the game. The chances of people reaching 61 or 91 is just unfathomable, and only really seems to be designed for Easter egg hunters. But it doesn't feel like it. It feels like a creature that was designed to be something, but really wasn't. Feels like someone missed the mark. Number 26, in a similar vein, the passing of time with difficulty just doesn't match the cave time zones. So Pikmin 2 has a nice secret mechanic where each area gets more difficult the more time passes. In the Perplexing Ball, for example, you'll see a small family of dwarf Bulbears slowly growing in size before an actual full-size Bulbear makes an appearance on the surface, as well as a beady Longlegs also making its appearance. But these upgrades don't happen till like way later into the game. We're talking day 15, 21, 31 and so on, and it's just not logical. Clearly the developers of Pikmin 2 didn't realise they're Pikmin players, and they didn't communicate how far or how long they expected their players to play through each of the days as it actually turned out to be. Maybe the game testers were really slow, but I don't think anyone really found out these secrets by actually playing the game. Now I realise I'm a bit of a veteran of Pikmin and I can scour through these games evidently quickly, but the caves do make it so that time freezes, so you might get loads of progress done in one day from the perspective of the surface, and then the next day you'll go somewhere else. It's not going to take you 30 days to get through all 4 areas. It's going to take you maybe 20, and by that point none of the secrets would have really activated. We would want more of these secrets to appear at day 12 or day 15 or 18. 31, 61, nah, it just doesn't make sense. That's just poor game design, not tailoring to how the player would experience the game. It'd even be cool if it actually tailored to how much progression you're making. Maybe when you've got a certain amount of debt, these things appear, rather than the time or the date. Number 27, cheating the game by switching characters. This is a well-known trick in Pikmin 2, and it just shouldn't be a thing. It's nice that we can do it, and it feels satisfying to cheat the system, but the game designers should have been able to make it so we can't cheat the system. The biggest and most obvious example of this is the ranging Bloister. With that, it only goes for the main captain you're playing as. So if you are to surround it with both captains and switch between them, the Bloister's not really going to move much. It might turn around in a circle and then reveal its weakness to the other side. And maybe that was the purpose, you're supposed to confuse it. But at the same time, this appears in multiple places where you can confuse the creatures you're fighting against, or even more game-breaking, you can collect multiple potions by switching characters. If you are to push the unplayed character into a potion, they will drink it up. You can then run into the potion yourself and drink it up as well, and in that same animation, from that same drop of potion, you will get 2. This breaks the game on a minor scale and just is poor game design. Someone should have worked out that happened and ironed out that kink. Number 28, the mail repeats easily. I like the mail, and it's cool that it actually changes depending on what you do and how much progression you're making, but very soon as you play the game, it starts to repeat itself as it doesn't really know what to say. I would want more mail options if it's going to repeat itself or start something new. There are multiple different mail deliveries that many people won't see, and instead of seeing a repeating mail from the president, I'd rather see something more unique from the family. There's so much mail that we don't get to see, and there's so much mail that we see too many times. So combine those to make none of those issues be the case, and you've got a really interesting mail system. It worked well in Pikmin 1, it worked well in Pikmin 3. Why didn't Pikmin 2 come up to the mark? Number 29, the Puffstool did not return. Where are my Puffmin? Puffmin were the wonderful secret 4th Pikmin type in Pikmin 1. They were an amazing creature to fight against. Having your own Pikmin army go against you was amazing. And though Pikmin 2 brought us all sorts of new creature types and new creature divisions, I would love to have seen another Puffstool, even if it was just like a mini one, or like, I don't know, I just want Puffmin to come back, and we would have loved to see that type return. We've already got 6 Pikmin types in this game, why not make it 7? God damn it, where are my Puffmin? And number 30, speaking of alternative Pikmin, the Bulbmin stay underground! What cruel level designer decided that we can't have the Bulbmin up on the surface? Why do we have to abandon them? We killed their mother, we abused their powers, and we abandoned them, left them behind to presumably die around a geyser, wondering why oh why can't they jump? I understand from a gameplay mechanic that you didn't want to have such an overpowered Pikmin in the surface level for you to take into onions or your ship and to take everywhere, but God, my heart, it bleeds. I can't handle it. Nintendo, how could you do this? Miyamoto never wanted this. And that was everything wrong with Pikmin 2, nicely solidified in 30 whole points. I apologise for having to split it in 2 parts, but it is a lengthy video and the recording at the time I'm doing this is at 52 minutes, so I'm definitely going to have to do some work. Many of these points you may agree with, many of these points you may not. Do be sure to let me know and tell me your other nitpicky things, but either way, I do hope you enjoyed, and if you did enjoy it, then do be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the bell, because that's what everyone has to do these days, and you can find more content of mine through Twitter, as my handle is @DazVideos, my Twitch page, which is DazVideos again, and Patreon page, which is, what do you know, DazVideos. Thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. You have been amazingly supportive and helpful in my time of need at this point of my life. If you'd like to be a Patreon supporter as well, then you can find the link down in the description. As for now, my name's been Daz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.